Welcome to the Analysis Desk. Go ahead and pull up a chair. Today we're doing a quick explainer on the global honeypot logs for July 2026. As a security analyst, there's just nothing quite like sifting through a fresh batch of monthly data to see exactly how the threat landscape is shifting right beneath our feet. We aren't just staring at raw numbers today, we're really digging into attacker behavior and their changing priorities. Let's take a close look at what our sensors actually picked up over this last month.
First up, total events ticked up from about 310 million in June to just over 334 million in July. Now, I know that might sound like a pretty massive number to some, but honestly, that's really just the steady, predictable hum of internet background noise. It's totally standard operating procedure for our sensors, so we aren't going to sweat that too much. Our first major insight actually comes from the unique remote hosts. That number went from roughly 135,000 in June to over 262,000 in July. That means the sheer volume of distinct IP addresses knocking on our doors pretty much doubled in just 30 days. So, we aren't necessarily seeing vastly more traffic overall, rather, we're seeing a significantly wider array of automated actors entering the fray.
And this shift in attacker behavior really builds a clear picture of targeted services. When we look at a side-by-side comparison of June and July, SIP, our standard VoIP protocol, remains the undisputed king of the hill, logging over 253 million hits. That's up quite a bit from June. But the real story is the protocol shakeup happening beneath it. Notice how some of our former heavyweights took a pretty noticeable dive? Remote Desktop Protocol, RDP, absolutely plummeted from nearly 40 million events down to about 15.9 million. TFTP, which sat comfortably at over 20 million in June, dropped aggressively to just 3.3 million. And MySQL actually fell off the top 10 list entirely. Talk about a shakeup.
Now, what's really interesting about this data is the standout figure jumping out at us right here, 17.4 million. While RDP and TFTP were cooling off last month, SSH aggressively climbed the ranks. It jumped from 12.8 million events in June, leapfrogging the competition to secure the number 2 spot overall in July. What does this mean for us? Well, it tells us that automated scanners and botnets are heavily prioritizing secure shell access right now. They're constantly probing, just trying to find those weak passwords and legacy misconfigurations.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how we translate this data into action for your own environments. First, with SIP traffic making up the vast majority of all global noise, you absolutely must lock down your VoIP infrastructure. Please don't leave those systems exposed to the open internet without strict access controls and rate limiting. Second, with SSH skyrocketing into that number 2 spot, it is officially time to enforce key-based authentication across your entire fleet. Basic passwords simply aren't cutting it against this volume of brute force scanning. You should honestly disable password authentication entirely if you haven't already. As you go review your dashboards this week, I'll leave you with this. Are your own network sensors silently logging these exact same targeted shifts right now?